The entire room went silent the moment Shin Hyun-woo, Seoul's most untouchable billionaire, and the man rumored to have connections that made politicians nervous, stopped in front of Hadia Osei and called her baby. And the truly insane part? Hadia had absolutely no idea who this man was. 5 minutes ago, she had been the lonely foreign journalist everyone pitied, the woman her colleagues made bets about, the cautionary tale who showed up to events alone while everyone else had someone. Now she was standing in front of 200 of Seoul's elite, with the most powerful man in the city holding her hand and looking at her like she was the only person in the room. She had exactly 5 seconds to decide whether to play along with whatever this was or humiliate him in front of everyone. What Hadia chose in that moment would pull her into a world of corruption, danger, fake dating that felt too real, and a 60-day deal that would either make her career or destroy her completely. Hadia knew the look. She had seen it 1,000 times before. That specific combination of pity and satisfaction that women gave each other when they thought they were winning at something you were losing at. Tonight, it was happening at the most inconvenient time possible. The Noir event was 30 minutes from starting, and she was standing in the cocktail lounge, holding a glass of champagne she had not taken a single sip from, watching her colleagues from Luminary Asia cluster together like they were plotting something, which they probably were. So Hadia, Hyunji's voice cut through the ambient music and polite chatter, loud enough that people turned to look. Are you bringing someone special tonight? Or is it just you and your notebook again? The group around Hyunji laughed. Not the kind of laughter that invited you in. The kind that reminded you that you were the joke. Hadia smiled, the same smile she had perfected over 3 years of living in Seoul as a black woman in a city that had not exactly rolled out a welcome mat. Chin up, shoulders back, eyes clear. Just me, she said, keeping her voice light. Someone has to actually work tonight. More laughter, but this time it was uncertain. Hyunji's smile tightened at the edges. Of course, Hyunji said, her tone dripping with something that wanted to sound like concern but landed closer to condescension. That is your brand, is it not? Married to the work. There it was, the verdict delivered with a smile. Hadia took a breath, counted to 3 in Swahili, and turned toward the tall windows overlooking the Seoul skyline. She did not need this tonight. She had come here to cover the biggest private event of the social season. The debut of a supper club so exclusive that even getting a press pass had required 3 weeks of negotiation and a personal appeal from her editor. She was good at her job, better than good. Her culture pieces had been featured, quoted, translated. She had built something here, but somehow, none of that mattered as much as the fact that she was 28 and single. Her phone buzzed. A message from her mother in Nairobi, because the universe had a sense of humor. Your cousin Amara is getting married. When are you bringing someone home? Hadia closed her eyes. Took another breath. She could do this. She had done harder things. She had moved across the world with 2 suitcases and a dream. She had learned Korean in between deadlines. She had written herself into a career that most people only talked about wanting. She could survive one night of being the cautionary tale. Excuse me, miss. A server appeared at her elbow with a tray of fresh glasses. The main event is about to begin. Guests are moving to the inner hall. Hadia nodded, grateful for the escape route. She put down her untouched champagne and followed the crowd. The inner hall was stunning, all dark wood and soft lighting and tables arranged with the kind of precision that suggested someone had used a ruler. Everywhere she looked, there were people who mattered. Politicians, entertainment executives, old money families whose names showed up in history books. And then there was her, notebook in hand, press credentials around her neck, trying to look like she belonged. She found a spot near the back where she could observe without being in the way, pulled out her phone to record notes, started cataloging details. That was when the energy in the room changed. It was subtle at first, a shift in conversation, people turning toward the entrance. Voices dropping to murmurs, someone was arriving. Hadia looked up, more out of professional curiosity than anything else. She had learned to pay attention to moments when a room reacted like this. It usually meant someone important, but she was not prepared for who walked through the door. He was tall, wearing a black suit that fit him like it had been built specifically for his frame, moving through the crowd with the kind of calm that suggested he had never asked permission for anything in his life. His face was unreadable, the kind of handsome that made you nervous rather than comfortable, and when people saw him, they did not just look, they moved, creating space without being asked. That is Shin Hyun-woo, someone whispered near Hadia. She knew the name. Everyone in Seoul knew the name. SHW Capital, private equity, the kind of wealth and power that did not show up on regular rich lists because it did not need to prove anything. There were also rumors, the kind that people did not say out loud but everyone seemed to know anyway, that his business was not just business. That his name carried weight in rooms where laws bent. Hadia watched him move through the space, cataloging details for her piece. This was good material. The way people deferred to him without him saying a word. The way he did not smile or perform charm but still commanded every bit of attention, and then he stopped. His eyes landed on her. Hadia's stomach did something complicated. She looked away, assuming he was looking at something behind her, someone more important. But when she glanced back, he was still staring, directly at her, and then he started walking. Toward her, the crowd parted like water. Hadia's brain scrambled to make sense of what was happening. Had she written something about him? Was he angry? Was she about to get thrown out of the most important event she had ever covered? He stopped in front of her, close enough that she could see the exact shade of brown in his eyes, and the entire room went quiet in the way that rooms do when everyone is. Pretending not to listen but absolutely listening. Then he smiled just slightly and said in a voice low and warm and utterly certain, "I was starting to think you were not coming, baby." Hadia's brain short-circuited. Baby? She had never seen this man before in her entire life. But his eyes held hers with an intensity that communicated something urgent beneath the surface of his words. This was not a mistake. This was deliberate. And the way he was looking at her, steady and unreadable and waiting, told her that whatever she did in the next 5 seconds mattered. Her journalist brain kicked in, read the room, assess the situation, make a choice. If she corrected him, if she said she did not know him, she would humiliate him in front of everyone. And humiliating a man like Shin Hyun-woo felt like a dangerous idea. If she played along, she had no idea what she was stepping into. But at least she would live to figure it out later. Also, and she would examine this later, there was something about the way he was looking at her. Not through her, like most people in this room did, at her, like she was exactly who he had been looking for. So Hadia did what she had done her entire life. She performed. She smiled, reached out and touched his arm lightly, and said with every ounce of confidence she could pull from somewhere deep, "You know I am never late, I am just strategic." His smile widened. Just a fraction, relief maybe, or approval. He took her hand, the room exploded into whispers. Before we continue, if you are enjoying this story and want to see where this absolutely insane night takes Hadia, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you are going to want to stay for what happens next. Hadia barely had time to process what was happening before Hyun-woo gently placed his hand on the small of her back and guided her through the crowd. People stared, phones appeared, cameras flashed. Somewhere behind her, she heard Hyun-ji make a sound like she had been stabbed. Hyun-woo led her to a private table near the center of the room, the kind of table that had probably been reserved for weeks, and pulled out a chair for her. She sat, because what else was she going to do? And he sat across from her like this was completely normal. "Play along," he said quietly, his voice just loud enough for her to hear under the noise of the room. "I will explain later." "You better," Hadia whispered back, her smile still locked in place. A server appeared immediately with wine. Hyun-woo nodded, and the server poured 2 glasses and vanished. "You did well," Hyun-woo said, picking up his glass. "Most people would have panicked." "I am panicking," Hadia said, still smiling for the room. "I am just good at multitasking." He laughed. Actually laughed. It changed his entire face, made him look younger, more human. "What is your name?" he asked. "You just called me baby in front of 200 people, and you do not know my name?" "I know your name," he said calmly. "Hadia Ose, culture writer for Luminary Asia, 3 years in Seoul, originally from Nairobi. You wrote that piece last month about African diaspora creatives in Korea that made the Minister of Culture very uncomfortable." Hadia stared at him. "You read my work?" "I read everything that matters," he said. "Your work matters." Something in her chest did a small, dangerous flip. "Why did you do that?" she asked, keeping her voice low. "Why did you pretend to know me?" "I needed someone smart," he said simply. "Someone observant, someone who could think fast under pressure. You proved you are all 3. "For what?" He leaned back slightly, his eyes scanning the room before returning to her. "I will explain, but not here. Tomorrow, I will send a car. I have not agreed to anything." Hadia said. "You agreed the moment you played along," he said, and there was no arrogance in it, just fact. Hadia wanted to argue, but he was right. She had made a choice, and now she was sitting at the best table in the room with the most powerful man in Seoul, And everyone was watching, including Yunji, who looked like she had swallowed glass. The rest of the evening passed in a blur. Hadia tried to take notes for her article, but it was hard to concentrate when every 5 minutes someone new approached the table to greet Hyun-woo, and by extension her. He introduced her each time without hesitation, my Hadia, like it was fact, like they had been together for years. And people believed it, of course they did. Why would Shin Hyun-woo lie? By the time the event ended, Hadia's face hurt from smiling, and her brain hurt from trying to process what her life had become in the span of 3 hours. Hyun-woo walked her to the entrance where a black car was already waiting. "Tomorrow," he said, "noon, the car will pick you up from your apartment." "How do you know where I live?" He just looked at her. "Right, stupid question." "If I say no," she asked. "You will not," he said, and again, it was not arrogance, just certainty. She wanted to prove him wrong, but she also desperately wanted to know what this was about. "Noon," she agreed. He nodded once, then surprised her by opening the car door himself. She slid in and he closed it gently. As the car pulled away, Hadia looked back through the window. Hyun-woo was still standing there, watching the car leave, his expression unreadable. What had she just agreed to? Her phone started buzzing before she even made it home. Messages flooding in from numbers she did not recognize. Social media notifications exploding. 3 missed calls from her editor. She opened Instagram. The first post on her feed was a photo of her and Hyun-woo at the table, his hand near hers, both of them looking at each other like they were the only people in the room. The caption, in Korean, translated to something like, "Seoul's most eligible bachelor is officially off the market. Who is she?" The comments were chaos. Half of them were congratulatory. The other half were dissecting everything about her appearance, her background, whether she was good enough. Hadia closed the app, put her phone face down, stared at the ceiling of the car. Tomorrow she would get answers. Tonight she just needed to breathe. She made it to her apartment in Itaewon, a small place she had furnished with IKEA basics and second-hand finds, climbed the stairs because the elevator was broken again, and locked the door behind her. Her phone rang. Her editor. Hadia answered. "Hi, Minjung." "Hadia." Minjung's voice was vibrating with barely controlled excitement. "Tell me you saw the photos. I saw them. Tell me it is real." Hadia hesitated. "It is complicated. Complicated is fine. Complicated sells." "Do you know how long we have been trying to get access to Shin Hyun-woo? 3 years. He does not do interviews. He does not do profiles. And now you are dating him?" "I would not say dating exactly. Hadia, listen to me. This is huge. I need you to leverage this. Get me a profile. Get me an exclusive. This could be the biggest piece Luminary Asia has ever published." Hadia closed her eyes. Of course. Of course this was how it would go. "I will see what I can do," she said carefully. "See what you can do? Hadia, you are sleeping with the story." "I am not sleeping with anyone." Yet Minjung said, like she was stating fact, "Keep me updated." And Hadia, "Yes, do not mess this up." The call ended. Hadia dropped her phone on the couch and walked to her tiny kitchen, poured herself water, drank it in 3 long gulps. Her phone buzzed again, this time a message from her best friend Zuri in Nairobi. Girl, you are viral. Kenyan Twitter is losing its mind. Who is this man?" Attached was a screenshot of a tweet with 40,000 likes showing her and Hyun-woo. The caption read, "Hadia Osi said African girls do not play. Look at God." Hadia laughed. It came out slightly hysterical. She typed back, "It is a long story. I have time. I do not even know where to start. Start with why a literal Korean billionaire is looking at you like you invented oxygen." Hadia looked at the photo again. Hyun-woo's expression was softer than she remembered, almost tender. It was a good performance. He was clearly a professional. "I will call you tomorrow," Hadia typed. "After I figure out what is happening. You better. I am worried and also extremely nosy." Hadia smiled, set down her phone and went to take the longest shower of her life. Tomorrow at noon, she would get answers. Tonight she would try to sleep and fail completely. The morning came too fast. Hadia woke up to 200 new Instagram followers, 5 missed calls from her mother, and a text from an unknown number. Car will arrive at noon. Dress comfortably. Hyun-woo. Comfortable. What did comfortable mean in the context of meeting a possible criminal who had fake claimed her as his girlfriend in front of Seoul's elite? She settled on black jeans, a white shirt, and her favorite leather jacket. Professional but not trying too hard. If she was walking into a disaster, at least she would look good doing it. At exactly noon, her buzzer rang. Hadia grabbed her bag, checked that her phone was charged in case she needed to call for help, and headed downstairs. A black car was waiting. The same one from last night. A driver in a dark suit opened the door without saying a word. Hadia got in. The drive took 20 minutes, winding through Gangnam, past luxury stores and buildings that looked like they belonged in science fiction movies, until they pulled up to a residential tower that was so sleek and modern it barely looked real. The driver opened her door. "Penthouse. They are expecting you." Hadia nodded, stepped out, and walked into a lobby that was all marble and minimalism. A security guard checked her name against a list and gestured to a private elevator. She stepped in. The elevator required a fingerprint scan to access the penthouse. The guard leaned in and pressed his thumb to the sensor. The doors closed. Hadia's stomach dropped as the elevator rose fast and smooth. When the doors opened, she stepped directly into an apartment. No hallway, no other units. Just the elevator opening into a massive living space with windows that overlooked the entire city. And standing near those windows, wearing a simple black shirt and looking far more relaxed than he had last night, was Shin Hyun-woo. "You came," he said, turning to face her. "You did not really give me a choice," Hadia said. "You always have a choice," he said. "You just make smart ones." He gestured to a low couch. "Sit, please." Hadia sat, perching on the edge like she might need to run. Hyun-woo sat across from her in a chair, relaxed but focused. "I am going to be direct," he said, "because I do not waste time, and I do not think you do either. Please." "Someone close to me is leaking information," he said. "Financial details, personal matters, political connections. Things that could destroy what I have built and hurt people I am responsible for protecting." Hadia listened, her journalist instincts kicking in. "This person moves in elite circles," Hyun-woo continued. "Private events, charity galas, the kind of places where business happens in whispers. I need access to those spaces in a way that does not raise suspicion. And you need me because? Because you are a journalist," he said simply. "You already have access. People expect you at these events. But alone, you are limited in what you can observe. As my girlfriend, every door opens." "Hadia, process this. You want me to spy for you." "I want you to observe," he corrected, "to listen, to help me find who is bleeding my operation dry before it costs lives." Lives. Hadia's heart rate picked up. "And what do I get?" she asked. Hyun-woo stood, walked to a side table, and picked up a folder. He placed it in front of her. "Look." Hadia opened it. Inside were documents, photographs, financial records, names she recognized, an assemblyman, an entertainment CEO, real estate transactions, and buried in the middle, a reference to a cultural fund for minority artists that had disappeared. Her breath caught. "This is real?" she asked. "Every page." "This is massive." "Yes." Hadia looked up at him. "If I publish this, it would destroy people. It would hold them accountable," Hyun-woo said. "There is a difference." She looked back at the documents, her mind racing. This was not just a story. This was the kind of investigative piece that won awards. That changed policy, that mattered. "How long?" she asked. 60 days, he said. 2 months of public appearances, charity events, dinners, gallery openings. Everywhere the people I am watching will be. And we pretend to be a couple, convincingly.
"What if someone figures it out?"
"They will not," he said. "Not if you commit." Hadia sat back, weighing it. This was insane, dangerous, possibly illegal. It was also the opportunity of a lifetime. "I have conditions," she said. Hyun-woo raised an eyebrow. "Of course you do. I control the story. Complete editorial freedom. You do not get to censor what I write." "Agreed. If I find out you are lying to me about any of this, I walk, and I publish whatever I have." He smiled. "Fair, and you tell me the truth. About who you really are, what you really do. No more mysterious criminal rumors. I need to know what I am stepping into." Hyun-woo's smile faded. He studied her for a long moment. "That is not a small thing you are asking. And this is not a small thing you are asking of me." He nodded slowly. "After this is over, when the 60 days are done, I will tell you everything. It was not perfect, but it was something." Hadia extended her hand. 60 days, Hyun-woo took it. His grip was firm, warm, 60 days, and just like that, Hadia Ose agreed to fake date one of the most dangerous men in Seoul. What could possibly go wrong? The next morning, Hadia woke up to her phone vibrating so hard it fell off her nightstand. She grabbed it, squinting at the screen. 47 text messages, 12 missed calls. Her Instagram had gained 3,000 followers overnight, and there was a new message from Hyun-woo. "Team will arrive at your apartment at 10. Preparation begins today." "Team? What team?" She typed back, "What kind of preparation?" The reply came instantly. "The kind that makes this convincing. Trust me." Hadia did not trust him, but she had agreed to this, so she dragged herself out of bed and into the shower. At exactly 10 o'clock, her buzzer rang. She opened the door to find 3 people standing in her hallway. A woman in her 40s wearing all black and carrying a tablet, a younger man with a messenger bag, and another woman holding what appeared to be several garment bags. "Miss Osei," the older woman said briskly, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. "I am Park Ji-won. I coordinate Mr. Shin's private affairs. This is David, communications. And Yuna, wardrobe. We have a lot to cover and not much time." Hadia stepped back as they filed into her tiny apartment. Yuna immediately started looking around with barely concealed horror at the IKEA furniture. "Right," Ji-won said, setting her tablet on the coffee table. "First things first, your social media needs adjusting." "My what?" David opened his laptop. "Your Instagram is good, authentic, but we need to seed the relationship naturally. I will send you photos to post. Candid looking but carefully curated. We start slow. A coffee cup in frame that could be two people. A blurred background that might be Mr. Shin. Build intrigue. You want me to fake my Instagram? I want you to tell a story," David said. "Is that not what journalists do?" Hadia could not argue with that. Ji-won continued, "You have 3 events this week. Tonight is a private art gallery opening. Thursday is a charity dinner for children's hospitals. Saturday is a launch party for a new hotel. Mr. Shin will pick you up for each one. 3 events in 1 week? You wanted access," Ji-won said coolly. "This is what access looks like." Yuna unzipped the garment bags. Inside were dresses that Hadia could not afford even if she saved for a year, deep emerald green silk, midnight blue with delicate beading, soft cream that looked like it cost more than her rent. "These are for me?" Hadia asked. "You cannot show up to these events in Zara," Yuna said. "Not unkindly. People will notice. They notice everything. I like Zara." "So do I," Yuna said, "but we are building an image. The woman who captured Shin Hyun-woo does not shop fast fashion." It stung, but it was true. For the next 2 hours, they drilled her. David showed her photos of key people she needed to recognize: politicians, business owners, old money families. Ji-won briefed her on appropriate conversation topics and which subjects to avoid. Yuna made her try on 6 different dresses and took photos from every angle. By noon, Hadia's brain was full and her patience was thin. "Can I ask a question?" she said finally. Ji-won looked up from her tablet. "Of course. Does Hyun-woo do this for everyone he dates?" The room went quiet. Then David laughed. "Mr. Shin does not date. Ever? Not in the 3 years I have worked for him," David said. "You are the first." Something about that sat strangely in Hadia's chest. "Then why all this?" she asked. Ji-won's expression softened slightly. "Because if this does not look real, it does not work. And if it does not work, people get hurt. So we make it perfect." After they left, Hadia sat in her apartment surrounded by designer dresses and a stack of briefing documents and wondered what exactly she had gotten herself into. Her phone rang. "Zuri, please tell me you are still alive," her best friend said. "Barely," Hadia said. "I just got a crash course in how to be a fake girlfriend to a man who might be a criminal." "Might be. I am still gathering evidence." Zuri sighed. "Hadia, I love you, but this is insane. I know. Like truly unhinged behavior. I know. So why are you doing it?" Hadia looked at the folder of documents Hyun-woo had given her, sitting on her desk. "Because the story is worth it. Is it worth your safety?" That was the question, was it not? "I will be careful," Hadia said. "You better be. Because if you die in Seoul, your mother will kill me for not stopping you." Hadia laughed despite everything. "I will text you after every event. Promise. Every event and every time you are alone with him. Deal." After they hung up, Hadia opened her laptop and started researching. If she was going to do this, she was going to do it right. She pulled up everything she could find on Shin Hyun-woo, articles about SHW Capital. Business acquisitions, charitable donations, but nothing personal, no interviews, no profiles. Just facts and figures and a few official photos where he looked like he wanted to be anywhere else. Then she started cross-referencing the names from the documents he had given her. The assemblyman, Kim Jae-sung, had connections to 3 different real estate developments in Gangnam. The entertainment CEO had been investigated twice for embezzlement, but never charged, and the cultural fund, the one meant for minority artists, had been established 2 years ago with government money and then quietly dissolved 6 months later. The money had gone somewhere. Hadia needed to find out where. She was so deep in research she almost missed the time. 6:30. The gallery opening was at 7. She jumped up, grabbed the emerald dress Yuna had left, and changed quickly. The dress fit perfectly, which was annoying because she wanted to find something to complain about. She did her makeup simple, her hair in a low bun, small gold earrings. Her buzzer rang at 6:50. Hadia grabbed her bag and headed downstairs. The same black car was waiting, but this time Hyun-woo was inside. He looked up when she slid in and something crossed his face. "Surprise, maybe. You look beautiful," he said. "Yuna has good taste," Hadia replied. keeping her tone professional. Yuna picked the dress, you make it work. Hadia did not know what to do with that, so she changed the subject. What do I need to know about tonight? Hyunwoo shifted into business mode immediately. Small gallery in Samcheongdong. Invitation only. About 60 people. The artist is young, connected to old money. His mother is friends with the wife of Assemblyman Kim. Kim Jae-sung? From the documents? The same. He will be there tonight. Watch who he talks to. Who he avoids. You think he is the leak? I think he is connected to it, Hyunwoo said. But I need proof. The car pulled up to a narrow street lined with traditional hanok houses, converted into galleries and cafes. People were already arriving, dressed in the kind of artistic black that meant they took culture very seriously. Hyunwoo got out first, then offered his hand to help Hadia out of the car. The camera started flashing immediately. Hadia tried not to flinch. Hyunwoo's hand settled at the small of her back, steady and grounding. Smile, he murmured. You are having the best night of your life. I am committing light fraud, actually. Same thing. She laughed, real and surprised, and the cameras went wild. Inside the gallery, the noise softened to polite murmurs and classical music. Waiters moved through the crowd with wine and small plates of food that were more art than sustenance. Hyunwoo guided her through the room, stopping to greet people. He introduced her each time with casual confidence. My Hadia. Like it was the most natural thing in the world, and people believed it. Of course they did. Mr. Shin, a voice called out. Hadia turned to see a man in his 50s approaching. Expensive watch, tailored suit, smile that did not reach his eyes. Assemblyman Kim, Hyunwoo said smoothly. Good to see you. This was him, the man from the documents. Kim's eyes slid to Hadia, assessing. And who is this? Hadia Ose, Hyunwoo said. My girlfriend. The word landed with weight. Girlfriend. So strange to hear directed at her in this context. Pleasure, Kim said, shaking her hand. His grip was too firm, like he was testing something. What do you do, Miss Ose? I am a writer, Hadia said. Culture and lifestyle. Ah, so you are here for work. I am here with Hyunwoo, she said, smiling. The art is a bonus. Kim's smile tightened. He did not like that answer. Well, enjoy the evening, he said, already turning away. When he was gone, Hyunwoo leaned down slightly. Well done, he is charming, Hadia said dryly. He is a snake, but a useful one for now. They moved through the gallery, looking at art that Hadia genuinely found interesting, and some that looked like the artist had given up halfway. Through, Hyunwoo stayed close, his presence constant but not suffocating. At one point, a woman approached, mid-30s, beautiful in that intimidating soul way, designer everything. Hyunwoo, she said, her voice cold. I did not expect to see you here, Seo Yeon. Hyunwoo said, and his tone was careful. This is Hadia. Seo Yeon's eyes dragged over Hadia like she was calculating her net worth and finding it lacking. Charming, Seo Yeon said. How did you two meet? Through mutual friends, Hadia said, because they had prepared for this question. How vague, Seo Yeon said, smiling. Well, enjoy it while it lasts. She walked away, leaving a trail of expensive perfume and hostility. Ex-girlfriend? Hadia asked. Ex-business partner, Hyunwoo said. Worse, by the time they left the gallery. Hadia's feet hurt and her face hurt from smiling. But she had 3 pages of notes on her phone and a dozen observations about who talked to whom. In the car, Hyunwoo loosened his tie and leaned back. You are good at this, he said. At what? Lying? At reading a room. Most people see the surface. You see the structure underneath. That is my job. It is more than that, he said, turning to look at her. You have instincts. Good ones. Hadia felt heat rise in her face and blamed it on the wine. The car pulled up to her apartment. Hyunwoo got out and walked her to the door, which felt absurd because it was a 4th-floor walk-up, but he did it anyway. Thursday, he said. I will pick you up at 6. Dinner, I remember. He hesitated, like he wanted to say something else, then just nodded. Good night, Hadia. Good night. She watched him walk back to the car, watched it pull away, then climbed the stairs to her apartment and immediately called Zuri. Still alive, she said when her friend picked up. Thank God, how was it? Weird, interesting. He is not what I expected. Meaning? Meaning I do not know yet, Hadia said, but I am going to find out. The next 3 days blurred together. David sent her photos to post on Instagram, a coffee cup that could belong to anyone, a blurred hand reaching across a table. The engagement on her posts tripled. At work, things got complicated. Hyunji had barely spoken to her since the Noir event, but Hadia could feel her watching, calculating. On Wednesday, Min Jung called Hadia into her office. So her editor said, leaning back in her chair, when do I get the Shin Hyunwoo profile? I am working on it. Work faster. Every publication in Seoul is trying to figure out who you are and how you landed him. We need to capitalize on this. It is not that simple. Make it simple, Minjung said. This is your job, Hadia. Do not forget that. If you are wondering whether Hadia is going to survive this fake relationship, or if it is going to completely blow up in her face, drop a comment below. I want to hear your predictions. And stick around, because things are about to get way more complicated. Thursday came faster than Hadia wanted. She wore the midnight blue dress, the one with delicate beading that caught the light. Yuna had also sent over shoes that were beautiful and clearly designed by someone who hated feet. Hyunwoo picked her up at 6 exactly. You are very punctual, Hadia said, sliding into the car. I value your time. Most men do not. I am not most men. No, Hadia thought. You really are not. The charity dinner was at a hotel ballroom in Gangnam. All white tablecloths and crystal chandeliers and people who donated money so they could tell other people they donated money. Hadia and Hyunwoo were seated at a table with a retired judge, a tech entrepreneur, and an older woman who owned half the art galleries in Seoul. The conversation was polite and boring until the tech entrepreneur, a guy in his 40s who clearly thought very highly of himself, turned to Hadia. So how does a writer afford to run in these circles, he asked. The table went quiet. Hadia smiled. I have a very generous boyfriend. Hyunwoo's hand found hers under the table, squeezed once. Lucky you, the tech guy said, smirking. Lucky him, the gallery owner said sharply. I read your piece on diaspora artists, Miss Osi. It was excellent. About time someone said those things publicly. Thank you, Hadia said, genuinely touched. The tech guy looked annoyed at being shut down and spent the rest of dinner sulking. After the meal, there were speeches. A hospital administrator talked about the new children's wing they were funding. A young patient gave a short speech that made half the room tear up. Then donations were announced. Hyunwoo pledged an amount that made Hadia's head spin. She tried not to react. During a break, Hadia excused herself to the restroom. She was washing her hands when the door opened and Hyunji walked in. Oh no, Hadia, Hyunji said, her smile sharp. What a surprise. Hyunji, that is a beautiful dress. Borrowed? Gift. How generous. Hyunji reapplied her lipstick in the mirror. You know, people are talking. People always talk. They are saying it is strange that no one has ever seen you two together before that night at Noir. That it appeared out of nowhere. Hadia's heart rate picked up, but she kept her voice even. That is how relationships work sometimes. They start somewhere. Or, Hyunji said, turning to face her fully. They are not real at all. There it was. Why would we fake a relationship? Hadia asked. I have no idea, Hyunji said, but I intend to find out. She left, the door swinging shut behind her. Hadia gripped the edge of the sink, forcing herself to breathe. This was a problem. She found Hyunwoo near the bar, pulled him aside. We have an issue, she said quietly, and explained what Hyunji had said. His expression darkened. She is going to dig. What do we do? Make it more convincing, he said. Then, before she could ask what that meant, he took her hand and led her onto the dance floor. A slow song was playing. Hyunwoo pulled her close, one hand at her waist, the other holding hers. What are you doing? Hadia whispered. Giving them something to believe in, he said. They moved together, and Hadia was painfully aware of how close they were, how his hand was warm against her back, how he smelled like expensive cologne and something else, something that was just him. You are a good dancer, she said, because she needed to say something. My mother insisted on lessons, he said. I hated every minute. Strict mother, you have no idea. Try me. My mother once made me retake an entire school year because she did not think my grades reflected my potential. Hyunwoo smiled. What did you do? Proved her right. Got top marks the second time. Stubborn, determined, Hadia corrected. Same thing. They were quiet for a moment, just moving to the music. Around them, people were definitely watching. Phones were definitely recording. This is working, Hyunwoo said quietly. What is this? Us. People believe it. Because we are good liars. He looked down at her, something unreadable in his expression. Is that what we are doing? Lying? What else would you call it? He did not answer. The song ended. They stepped apart. Hadia felt the loss of warmth immediately and hated herself for it. The rest of the evening passed without incident. They said their goodbyes, posed for a few more photos, and finally escaped to the car. That was exhausting, Hadia said, leaning her head back against the seat. You were perfect, Hyunwoo said. I was performing, so was I, but somewhere in the performance, there were real moments. Hadia turned to look at him. Like what? Like when you defended yourself to that tech idiot. Like when you talked about your mother. Those were real. Does that matter? I think it does, he said quietly. The car pulled up to her building. This time, Hyunwoo did not get out. Just watched as she gathered her things. Hadia, he said as she reached for the door handle. Yes? Be careful with Hyunji. If she is digging, she is dangerous. I can handle her. I know you can. But you should not have to do it alone. Something in his voice made her pause. Are you worried about me? Yes, he said simply. And there it was again, that thing between them that was not supposed to exist. I will be fine, Hadia said. Good night, Hyunwoo. Good night. She made it upstairs, changed out of the dress, and sat on her couch in sweatpants scrolling through the photos from tonight. There was one of them dancing, her head tilted up toward him, his hand at her waist, both of them looking at each other like nothing else existed. It looked real, terrifyingly real. Hadia's phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. You are playing a dangerous game. Be smart. Her blood ran cold. She screenshot the message and sent it to Hyunwoo. His reply came within seconds. Address? She sent it. Stay inside. Lock your doors. Someone will be outside your building tonight. You are sending security? I am protecting what is mine. Hadia stared at that message for a long time. What is mine? He meant the arrangement, the deal, the fake relationship. Right? She locked her doors, checked the windows, and tried to sleep. Outside her building, a black car parked across the street. Inside the car, a man in a dark suit settled in for a long night, and in Gangnam, in a penthouse office, Shin Hyun-woo looked at the screenshot of the threatening message and made a phone call. Find out who sent this, he said, and find out tonight. The voice on the other end asked a question. Because someone just made this personal, Hyun-woo said, and I do not allow threats against people I care about. He hung up, looked out at the Seoul skyline, and admitted something to himself that he had been avoiding for days. This was not just business anymore, and that made everything infinitely more complicated. Saturday morning, Hadia woke up to her phone ringing. Hyun-woo. Did you find who sent the message? She asked instead of hello. Working on it, but we have a more immediate problem. What now? Someone leaked to the press that we are attending the hotel launch tonight. There will be media everywhere. Is that not normal for you? Not like this. They are coming for you specifically. Questions about who you are, where you came from, whether you are good enough. Hadia's stomach turned. Great. Ji-won is coming over at noon. Media training. I have done interviews before. Not like this, Hyun-woo said. Trust me. He was right. Ji-won arrived with David and put Hadia through 3 hours of the most intense preparation of her life. Anticipated questions, approved answers. What to say, what to deflect, how to smile when someone insulted her to her face. They will ask about your background, Ji-won said. Your family, your race, they will not be polite. I have dealt with racism before, Hadia said. Not with cameras recording every reaction, David said gently. In Seoul, the media can be brutal, especially to women. Especially to women who date powerful men. By the time they left, Hadia felt like she had been through a training montage for a fight she did not want to have. Yuna had left the cream dress, simple, elegant, impossible to criticize. Hyun-woo picked her up at 7. He took one look at her face and said, You are scared. I am prepared. You can be both. The hotel launch was chaos. Red carpet. Reporters with microphones, cameras everywhere. Security had to hold people back. Hyun-woo got out of the car first, then helped Hadia out. The noise was immediate. Questions shouted in Korean and English. Mr. Shin, who is your girlfriend? Miss Osi, how did you meet? Is it true you are from Africa? How long have you been together? Hadia smiled, kept her head up, and let Hyun-woo guide her forward. Then one reporter pushed through. Miss Osi, what do you say to people who think you are with Mr. Shin for his money? The crowd went silent. Hadia stopped, turned to face the reporter directly. I would say that anyone who thinks that does not know me, she said clearly, and does not know him. But you are a writer, the reporter pressed. He is one of the richest men in Seoul. It looks suspicious. It looks like two people who enjoy each other's company, Hadia said. But I understand that might be hard for some people to imagine. A few people in the crowd laughed. The reporter looked annoyed. Hyun-woo squeezed her hand. Approval. They made it inside. The hotel lobby was stunning, all modern design and expensive materials and people who absolutely belonged there. Hadia took a breath. You did well, Hyun-woo said quietly. I wanted to punch him, I know, but you did not. That is growth. She laughed despite herself. The night continued. More introductions, more performances, more watching and cataloging and trying to piece together who was connected to what. And then Hadia saw something, Assemblyman Kim talking to a woman near the bar, passing her something small. The woman pocketed it quickly and walked away. Hadia followed her with her eyes. The woman went to the restroom. I will be right back, Hadia told Hyun-woo. She followed the woman. In the restroom, the woman was on her phone. I have it, she said in Korean. The files. I will send them tonight. Files. Hadia pulled out her phone, pretended to check her makeup, and took a photo of the woman's reflection in the mirror. The woman finished her call and left. Hadia sent the photo to Hyun-woo with a message. She just received something from Kim, said she has files. His reply was immediate. Do not engage, come back. Hadia returned to find Hyun-woo's expression carefully neutral, but his eyes were sharp. You found something, he said. Maybe. We leave in 10 minutes. They made their excuses and left. In the car, Hadia explained everything she had heard. Hyun-woo was already typing on his phone. I will have her identified by morning. This is really happening, Hadia said. The leak, the conspiracy. All of it. Did you doubt it? Part of me hoped it was exaggerated. It is not, Hyun-woo said, and now you are in the middle of it. Is that a warning? It is a fact. The car pulled up to her building. This time, Hyun-woo got out with her. I am walking you up, he said before she could protest. They climbed the 4 flights in silence. At her door, Hadia turned to face him. Thank you, she said. For tonight, for the security, for all of it. You do not have to thank me. I do, though, because you did not have to protect me like this. The deal was access and information, not personal security. Hyun-woo stepped closer. They were in the narrow hallway, close enough that she could see the exact color of his eyes in the dim light. The deal changed, he said quietly. When? The moment someone threatened you. Hadia's heart was doing complicated things in her chest. Hyun-woo, she started. I know, he said. This is not part of the plan, but I need you to know that you are safe. As long as you are doing this, as long as you are with me, I will make sure of it. Why? He smiled, sad and honest. Because you matter. Before she could respond, before she could process what that meant, he stepped back. Lock your door, he said. Sleep well. He left. Hadia went inside, locked the door, and leaned against it. 60 days. She had agreed to. They were only 2 weeks in, and already everything felt different. The photograph of the woman from the hotel launch led to a name by Monday morning, Lee Sun-hee, administrative assistant to Assemblyman Kim, 29 years old. Access to everything. Hadia sat in Hyun-woo's office looking at the file David had compiled. It was thorough. Bank statements showing deposits that did not match her salary. Phone records showing calls to unlisted numbers. Travel records to cities that made no sense for someone at her pay grade. She is definitely involved, Hadia said. The question is whether she is the leak or just a courier, Hyun-woo said. He was standing by the window, looking out at Seoul. He had not slept. She could tell by the tension in his shoulders. You think someone is above her? I know someone is above her. She does not have access to the kind of information that has been leaking. Someone close to me does. The weight of that hung in the air. How close? Hadia asked quietly. Close enough that it hurts, he said. Before Hadia could respond, his phone rang. He answered, listened. His face going carefully blank. When? Pause. Send me the location, I will handle it. He hung up. What happened? Lee Sun-hee just checked into a hotel in Busan. She is meeting someone tonight, so we follow her. We? Hyun-woo turned to face her. You think I am sitting this out? I am a journalist. This is literally my job. This is also dangerous. Everything about this has been dangerous. Hadia said, I am coming. He looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. We leave in an hour. Pack light. Hadia went home, threw clothes in a bag and texted Zuri. Going to Busan. Will explain later. If I do not check in by tomorrow night, call the embassy. Zuri's reply was immediate. Hadia what? It is fine, probably love you. She turned off her phone before Zuri could call. The drive to Busan took 4 hours. Hyun-woo had a driver, which meant they sat in the back together with files spread between them and the tension of something unspoken growing with every mile. Tell me about your family, Hyun-woo said suddenly. Hadia looked up from the documents she was reviewing. Why? Because we have 4 hours and I want to know, so she told him. About growing up in Nairobi, about her mother who taught literature and expected excellence, about her father who died when she was 12 and left a hole she still had not filled, about wanting to write stories that mattered. Why Seoul? He asked. Because it was far enough away that I could be someone new, she said honestly. In Nairobi, I was always someone's daughter, someone's student, someone's friend. Here, I could just be Hadia. And is that better? Some days, yes. Some days I am so lonely I cannot breathe. The honesty surprised her. She had not meant to say that. I understand that, Hyun-woo said quietly. Do you? You seem like someone who has never been lonely a day in your life. He laughed, but it was bitter. I am lonely every single day. I am surrounded by people who want things from me. Money, access, power. No one just wants me. That sounds exhausting. It is. They were quiet for a moment. Is that why you chose me? Hadia asked. Because I did not know who you were. Because I did not want anything from you? Partly, he admitted. but also because when I saw you at that event, standing alone but not diminished by it, I thought here is someone who understands. Understands what? What it costs to be yourself in a world that wants you to be someone else. Hadia's chest felt tight. That is very honest. You make me want to be honest, he said. The car pulled up to a hotel in Hyundai Busan's beach district. They checked in under false names. Separate rooms but on the same floor. Lee Sun-hee is 3 floors up, Hyunwoo said, checking his phone. She is meeting someone at 9. It was 7 now. What do we do until then? We wait, and we prepare for whatever we find. At 8:45, they took positions in the hotel lobby with sight lines to the elevators. Hyunwoo wore a baseball cap pulled low. Hadia had her hair down, glasses on. They looked like tourists. At exactly 9, Lee Sun-hee stepped out of the elevator. She was nervous. Hadia could tell by the way she kept checking her phone, the way her eyes scanned the lobby. A minute later, a man joined her. Hadia's breath caught. She knew him, not personally, but she had seen his photo in the files Hyunwoo's team had compiled. Kang Min-ho, Chief Financial Officer at SHW Capital, Hyunwoo's company. Next to her, Hyunwoo went very still. Do you know him? Hadia whispered. Yes, Hyunwoo said, his voice empty of emotion. He has worked for me for 6 years. The betrayal was written all over his face, even as he tried to hide it. They watched as Min-ho and Sun-hee sat at a corner table too far to hear, but close enough to see. Min-ho passed her an envelope. She passed him a USB drive. Hadia pulled out her phone, angled it carefully, and took 3 photos. We need to hear what they are saying, she whispered. Too risky. I did not come to Busan to watch from across a room. Before he could stop her, Hadia stood and walked toward the bar, which was closer to their table. She ordered a drink, positioned herself where she could hear. Min-ho was speaking in Korean. Hadia's language skills were good enough to catch most of it. This is the last transfer. After this, I am out. You cannot just leave, Sun-hee said. They will know. Let them know. I will be in Singapore by then. What about the assemblyman? Kim can handle himself. I gave him what he needed. The rest is not my problem. Hadia's heart pounded. She committed every word to memory. Sun-hee looked scared. If Shin finds out it was you, he will destroy you. Shin trusts me, Min-ho said. That is his weakness. Hadia had heard enough. She paid for her drink and walked back to Hyunwoo. We need to leave now. They went up to Hyunwoo's room. Once inside, Hadia repeated everything she had heard. Hyunwoo sat on the edge of the bed, head in his hands. 6 years, he said. I trusted him with everything. I am sorry, Hadia said, sitting next to him. Do not be sorry. You found him. You did what I asked. That does not make it hurt less. He looked at her, and for the first time since she had met him, he looked vulnerable. Not the untouchable CEO. Just a man who had been betrayed by someone he cared about. No, he said, it does not. Hadia did something she had not planned. She reached out and took his hand. He looked down at their joined hands, then back at her. Thank you, he said quietly. For what? For being here. For caring. For being real. I thought we were pretending. I stopped pretending weeks ago, he said. The air between them changed. Charged. Dangerous. Hadia knew she should move, should create distance, should remember this was a job. But she did not move. Neither did he, Hadia. He started. A knock on the door shattered the moment. They both jumped. Hyunwoo stood, checked the peephole, and his expression went dark. He opened the door. 2 men in suits stood there. Hyunwoo exchanged a few words in rapid Korean, then turned to Hadia. Min-ho knows we are here. He is running. Everything happened fast after that. They raced down to the parking garage. Min-ho's car was gone. So was Sun-hee. Where would he go? Hadia asked. Gimhae Airport. Singapore flight leaves at midnight. They got back in the car. The driver pushed the speed limit. Hadia held on and tried not to think about all the ways this could go wrong. They made it to the airport at 11:20. Hyunwoo had people there. Security who owed him favors. They found Min-ho at the international terminal, passport in hand. When he saw Hyunwoo, his face went white. Do not make a scene, Hyunwoo said calmly. Come with me, we will talk. I have nothing to say to you. You owe me that much. Something in Hyunwoo's voice made Min-ho hesitate, guilt maybe, or fear. He followed them to a private room the airport's security let them use. Once inside, Hyunwoo closed the door. Why, he asked simply. Min-ho sat down heavily. Because I was tired. Tired of watching you build an empire while I did all the work behind the scenes. Tired of being invisible. So you sold me out. I sold information. There is a difference. People got hurt because of what you leaked. Collateral damage. Hyunwoo's fist hit the table so hard it made Hadia jump. These are people, not transactions. Min-ho flinched but said nothing. Who else is involved? Hadia asked. Min-ho looked at her like he had just noticed she was there. The journalist girlfriend. Is she real or another one of your games, Hanwoo? Answer her question, Hanwoo said coldly. Kim Jae-sung. Park Seo-jin from the entertainment company, a few others. We all had reasons to want you taken down a level. And the cultural fund? Hadia pressed. The money meant for minority artists, where did it go? Minho smiled ugly. Real estate. Very profitable real estate. Hadia wanted to hit him. Instead, she took out her phone and made sure the recording app had captured everything. You are recording this? Minho asked. I am a journalist, Hadia said. This is what I do. Minho looked at Hyunwoo. You set me up. You set yourself up. Hyunwoo said. I just gave you enough rope. Airport security came in then, along with 2 police officers. Hyunwoo must have called them. As they took Minho away, he looked back once. I hope she is worth it. The door closed. Hadia and Hyunwoo stood in the empty room. It is over. Hadia said. This part is, Hyunwoo said, but there is still Kim and the others. I have everything I need for the story. Then write it. Burn them all down. They drove back to Seoul in silence. It was 3 in the morning when they arrived. Hyunwoo walked Hadia to her door. Get some rest, he said. We will deal with the fallout tomorrow. Hyunwoo, Hadia said. What you said in Busan, about stopping the pretending. I meant it. This complicates things. I know. I need to finish the story first. I need to do this right. I understand, he said. Take the time you need. He left. Hadia went inside and did not sleep at all. Instead, she opened her laptop and started writing. She wrote for 3 days straight. The whole story, the leak, the corruption, the missing funds, the assemblyman, the entertainment executive, all of it. She wrote with evidence, with sources, with the recording from the airport. It was the best work she had ever done. She sent it to Min-jung on Thursday. Her editor called 5 minutes later. This is incredible, Min-jung said. This is award-level work, Hadia. Can we publish? Our legal team needs 24 hours, but yes, this runs. Friday morning, the story went live. The response was immediate and massive. Within hours, it was trending. News outlets picked it up. Politicians called for investigations. The Cultural Ministry announced they were reviewing the missing fund. Hadia's phone exploded with interview requests. And in the middle of it all, a message from Hyunwoo. I am proud of you, she smiled. But the victory was short-lived. That afternoon, Hyunji published her own piece. Not in Luminary Asia, but in a rival publication. The headline read, The Relationship That Was Too Perfect, Inside Hadia Osi's Calculated Rise. Hadia's stomach dropped as she read it. Hyunji had interviewed people, dug up timeline inconsistencies, found sources who questioned whether the relationship was real. She stopped just short of calling it fake, but the implication was clear. The comments were brutal. I knew something was off. She used him for the story. Gold digger confirmed. Hadia sat in her apartment watching her credibility crumble in real time. Her phone rang. Hyunwoo. I saw it, he said. She is going to ruin everything. No, she is not. We are going to handle this. How? Trust me, I am coming to get you. Before you find out how this all ends and whether Hadia and Hyunwoo can fix this mess, I need you to do something. Hit that subscribe button right now. Because you have come this far with Hadia's story and you need to see how it ends. Subscribe, and let's finish this together. 20 minutes later, Hadia was in Hyunwoo's car. Where are we going? Press conference, he said. I am calling one for tonight. To say what? The truth. Hyunwoo, we cannot tell people this was fake. It will destroy both of us. He looked at her and his expression was serious. It is not fake anymore, has not been for a long time, so we are not lying. What are you saying? I am saying that yes, this started as an arrangement, but it became real, for me at least. And I am going to stand in front of cameras and say exactly that. Hadia's heart was pounding. You do not have to do this. Yes, I do. Because you put everything on the line for that story. The least I can do is put everything on the line for you. The press conference was held at 6 that evening in a hotel conference room packed with journalists. Hadia stood to the side, watching as Hyunwoo took the podium. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions. Hyunwoo raised a hand for silence. I am going to make a statement, he said, and then I will take questions. The room quieted. There has been speculation about my relationship with Hadia Ose. Questions about whether it is real, whether it is some kind of arrangement. So I am going to be clear. He paused, looked directly at the cameras. When I first approached Hadia at the Noir event, it was strategic. I needed access to certain social circles, and a public relationship provided that. She agreed to help me in exchange for information that became the investigation she published this week. Gasps from the crowd, cameras going wild. But somewhere between that first night and now, something changed. I stopped performing, I started caring. And when I say I am with Hadia Ose, I do not mean as part of an arrangement. I mean it because it is true. He looked over at Hadiya. She felt tears prick her eyes. Hadiya is the smartest, bravest, most honest person I have ever met. She did not use me for a story. She earned that story through brilliant journalism. And I am standing here tonight because I am tired of pretending that what we have is anything less than real. The room erupted in questions. But Hyun-woo just stepped away from the podium and walked directly to Hadiya. "Your turn," he said quietly. Hadiya took a breath and stepped up to the microphone. "I came to Seoul 3 years ago to prove I could make it in a city that did not know what to do with me," she said. "I have been called too ambitious, too focused, too intimidating. People made bets about whether I would spend another season alone." She saw Hyun-ji in the crowd, saw her face go pale. "When Hyun-woo approached me with his arrangement, I said yes because I saw an opportunity. A story that mattered. But I also said yes because for once someone saw me. Not what I lacked, not what I was not, just me." She looked at Hyun-woo. "So yes, this started as something calculated, but it became something neither of us expected. It became real, and I am done apologizing for that." The questions came fast and loud, but Hadiya just stepped away from the podium. Hyun-woo took her hand and they walked out together. Outside, the car was waiting. They got in, and as it pulled away, Hadiya started laughing. "Did we just do that?" she asked. "We absolutely just did that." Hyun-woo said, "The internet is going to lose its mind. Let it." Hadiya looked at him. "So what happens now?" "Now," Hyun-woo said. "We do this for real. No arrangements, no contracts, just us. That is terrifying. I know. I am terrible at relationships. So am I. This might be a disaster." "Probably," Hyun-woo said, "but I am willing to risk it if you are." Hadiya thought about all the reasons this was a bad idea. The complications, the publicity, the differences in their worlds. Then she thought about the way he looked at her, like she was the only person in the room. The way he made her laugh. The way he saw her. Really saw her. "Okay," she said. "Okay, let's be a disaster together." He smiled, and it was the most genuine smile she had ever seen on him. "I can work with that." The next few weeks were chaos. The corruption story led to arrests, including Assemblyman Kim and Park Seo-jin. The Cultural Fund was reinstated with oversight. Hadiya won 3 journalism awards. Hyun-ji quietly left Luminary Asia. No one was quite sure where she went, and no one really cared to ask. Min Jung promoted Hadiya to senior writer with a salary that meant she could finally afford her own place without a broken elevator. And Hadiya and Hyun-woo figured out what dating looked like when it was not a performance. It looked like late dinners where they actually talked instead of strategized. Like Hyun-woo showing up at her apartment with coffee when she was on deadline. Like Hadiya dragging him to a Kenyan restaurant in Itaewon and watching him try ugali for the first time. It looked like Sunday video calls to Nairobi, where her mother finally stopped asking when she was bringing someone home because she was looking at him on the screen. It looked like real, messy and complicated and real. 3 months after the press conference, they went back to Noir, the same supper club where it had all started. This time, when they walked in together, no one was surprised. They sat at the same table, ordered the same wine. "Do you remember what you said that first night?" Hadiya asked. "I was starting to think you were not coming, baby," Hyun-woo said, smiling. "And I said I was never late, just strategic. You were right, your timing was perfect. So was yours." He reached across the table and took her hand. "No cameras, no performance, just them. I have something for you," he said. He pulled out a small box. Hadiya's heart jumped. "Hyun-woo, if that is what I think it is way too soon," he laughed. "Relax, it is not a ring." He opened it. Inside was a key. "To what?" "My place. I want you to have it, not because you have to use it, but because I want you to know you are always welcome. In my space, in my life, in everything." Hadiya felt tears burn her eyes. "That is really sappy, I know. I am terrible at this." "No," she said, taking the key. "You are perfect at this." Later, much later, they stood on his balcony overlooking Seoul. The city lights spread out like stars below them. "Do you ever regret it?" Hyun-woo asked. "Saying yes that night?" Hadiya thought about it, about everything that had happened, the fear, the danger, the exposure, the chaos. "No," she said honestly. "I came to Seoul to be undeniable, but I stayed because someone finally saw me, really saw me. I see you," Hyun-woo said softly. "I have seen you from the beginning. I know." He wrapped his arms around her, and she leaned back against him. And for the first time in 3 years, Hadiya felt like Seoul was not just the city she lived in, it was home. 6 months later, Hadiya published her second major investigation, this one about housing discrimination against foreign residents in Seoul. It sparked policy changes and another award. A year later, she was offered a book deal. 2 years later, she said yes to a different kind of question, the one with a ring. on the same balcony overlooking the same city. And when people asked her how she met her husband, she told them the truth. She went to an event alone, got mocked for being single, and then the most powerful man in Seoul walked up to her and called her baby. And everything changed, not because he rescued her, but because he saw her as someone worth knowing, worth choosing, worth fighting for. And she saw the same in him. The woman who had been invisible became undeniable, not because of who she was with, but because of who she had always been. She just needed someone to look close enough to see it, and he did. Every single day, he did. So that is Hadia's story. From being the office cautionary tale to becoming the woman who took down corruption, won awards, and found love in the most unexpected place with the most unexpected person. If this story gave you all the feelings, if you were rooting for Hadia from the beginning, do me a favor. Hit that like button, drop a comment telling me what moment made you smile, and subscribe so you do not miss the next story, because there are so many more where this came from. Thank you for listening to Hadia's journey. Now go out there and be undeniable.